guy gets down on one knee to propose. But the couple's golden retriever named Sunny just wants to run around the beach. He runs right between the lovebirds. Hey, Sunny, you're ruining the moment. Sure hope he calms down in time for the wedding.
Well, good morning, Shoreline. We are so glad you're here. My name is Dominic. It's so nice to see all of you. Welcome to you online. It's a great day to be at church. We're going to sing some songs. We're going to celebrate together. I want to invite you to sing along with us. Let's be reminded of all the good things God is doing. Here we go. Let's sing. I was lost. He found me. I was sick. He healed me. I was dead. He raised me up again. I was bound. He freed me. Now I stand in His victory. I was desperate. He saved me from my sin. Isn't He good? Isn't He great? Isn't He faithful? Look at my life, look what He's done. Isn't He able? Isn't He good? Isn't He great? Isn't He worthy? He's worthy, He's worthy, isn't He? We sing mighty God, mighty God, Jehovah, Holy One, Messiah, all the glory to our resurrected King. Yeah. Isn't He good? Isn't He great? Isn't He faithful? Look at my life, look what He's done. Isn't He able? Isn't He good? Isn't He great? Isn't He worthy? Oh, He's worthy, isn't He? Yeah. Isn't He worthy? Isn't He? Isn't He worthy? Isn't He worthy? Isn't He? Isn't He worthy? Yes, He is. Our God is worthy. Isn't He worthy? Isn't He? Isn't He worthy? Isn't He worthy? Isn't He? Isn't He worthy? Yes, He is. Our God is worthy. Isn't He worthy? Isn't He? Isn't He worthy? Isn't He worthy? Isn't He? Isn't He worthy? Yes, He is. Our God is worthy. Don't be sick. Isn't He good? Isn't He great? Isn't He faithful? Look at my life. Look what He's done. Isn't He able? Isn't He good? Isn't He great? Isn't He worthy? Oh, He's worthy. He's worthy. eternal spark. I call you healer, 'cause you can mend any broken heart. I call you faithful Father, 'cause you finish everything you start. My soul was made to respond. I know you by 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me a million ways to be amazed at what you've done, and I am lost in wonder. Yeah, oh, you do. I know you by 1,000 names, and I'll sing them back to you. We sing together. Your love is boundless, beyond what I could dream. Your grace is patient. Oh, you're never giving up on me. I call you bondage breaker, 'cause you're handing out the prison keys. My soul was made to be free. I know you by 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me a million ways to be amazed at what you've done, and I'm lost in wonder. Yeah, oh, you do. I know you by 1,000 names, and I'll sing them back. I'll sing them back to you. You are Rock of Ages. You're the great I am. You are King forever, the beginning and the end. You are Lord and Savior. You're the Son of Man. You're the Lion of Judah. You're the risen Lamb. You're the second Adam, here to lead us on. You are Yahweh's glory now, revealed in flesh and bone. You are ocean parter. You will make a way. You are death defeater. You have risen from the grave. You are full of mercy. You are rich in love. You are Jesus, Messiah, the one to come. I know you by 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me a million ways to be amazed at what you've done, and I am lost in wonder. Yeah, oh, you do. I know you by 1,000 names, and I'll sing them back. I'll sing them back to you. So we thank you for this beautiful truth this morning, that you love us, that you care for us, that we get to know you as you reveal yourself to us in all the wonderful, beautiful, powerful ways that you are. You are a healer, you restore, you make new, you bring life and life to the fullest. And this morning we want to call on you, for you to change us, for you to move in our community. You can restore, you can bring life, you can bring joy in Jesus. We are so excited for that this morning. So we're so grateful for who you are. We pray all of this in your powerful name, Jesus. And everyone says, amen. So good that you guys are here. Good morning to you. Why don't you meet a couple people around you, say hi to a couple of people, and then grab a seat.
Preferably grab your own seat. All right, good morning, Shoreline Church. Want to welcome all you guys online. Say hi to Pastor Eric as he's out of town. Love you. Hey, I got a special announcement today. We got something really good in store for you guys. We're going to get to that in a minute. But my name is Donnie Carvonen. I've been here at Shoreline for almost 18 years. Love what we get to do. And today is a special day again. With a guest speaker today. Not really a guest speaker, but a house speaker, but it's sort of special. Now, if it's your first time here, maybe it's your first time in a long time, or you're just checking us out, you're probably wondering, how do I find out more about Shoreline Church, or how do I get connected? And I want to give you guys the fast and easy way. So if you got your smartphone or mobile devices, go ahead and unlock it. And now in front of you, on your tables or in the chair, back seat of your chairs, there's this little thing. If you just tap it, it'll bring you to our Shoreline Hub. And on that hub, you can find out all the stuff that's going on at Shoreline. For example, if you click on events, you can find out that this Friday, we have Club 139 for our middle schoolers. It's going to be here. And of course, the kids have a fantastic time. So parents, make sure you can get all your information there, and make sure you're here for the 4th through 6th graders. But also, if you look at the events, you can find out that this Saturday, we have our child dedication. It's when our children dedicate our parents. No, it's actually the other way around. Our parents come and you dedicate your kids, and it's not necessarily a baby baptism, because a lot of times people think this is what we're doing. But no, this is actually a community thing where we partner with families, helping them, saying we're going to promise and we're going to get invited into these kids' lives. So we want you to bring your kids. Doesn't matter how old they are. And what we're going to do is we're going to intentionally say this is a moment where we're going to partner together and see their lives grow up in the church. And so if that's you, you can still register by going on the events page, and there's still room available. There's also something happening, ladies. It's called Sisterhood. You can find out some more stuff, but there's something that's happening just a few weeks away. On April 4th, one of my favorite speakers, Chadi, is going to be back in town. And sorry, guys, we don't get to see this, but ladies, you don't want to miss her. So you want to make sure you sign up for that event. You can also do that on that events page. Now, there's other things on this cool little thing you can find out about communities and our team and stuff, but you can also, convenient way, if you wanted to support Shoreline by your financial giving, you can give. In fact, there are many ways that you can give at Shoreline, and these are just a few of them, but we do something special here because we believe, and we're so thankful for your generosity that we're able to be generous, is one of the things that we call irrational generosity. That is, if you're an adult and you're in significant need of food, shelter, and clothing, when that offering bucket comes, and it's going to be passed out here in just a moment, when it passes your row, you have our permission as adults to take out any of the loose cash and let it meet your needs, because we believe it's God's already. So as our host team begins to prepare and pass out the buckets, I want to introduce one of my friends. He's one of my golf buddies, but also he's been a Shoreliner for a number of years. We'll talk about golf things later. Who won the long drive competition? It doesn't matter. But Pastor AG has been a part of Shoreline Church for a number of years. It started many years ago when we just moved in this building. Then since he's military, he moved all the way to the left coast. Then he got shipped all the way to the right coast. And during that whole process, he's been our online moderator pastor. But today I believe we have Bradley online. Yep, so Bradley, we want to say thank you for filling in this spot. Those are big shoes to fill with Pastor AG. I know you'll do a fantastic job, but will you guys here at Shoreline give our very own, our cyber pastor, Pastor AG, a warm welcome. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks, Pastor Donnie, for that introduction. Isn't it a good day to be in the house of the Lord today? Can I get I'm so excited to be here, and we've been here since Wednesday. So we left a storm in Buffalo to come to a storm in Florida. So I'm hoping that today, I'm claiming today that we're going to get to go onto a boat and enjoy some of the sunshine. Like, please and amen. But I do want to introduce myself to you guys. I am AG, and I do get to serve as the online pastor here at Shoreline. And with that, I really want to welcome our online audience, our online campus. Can we get a big welcome for those guys online? Bradley is online, just hosting today. And we have pastors Eric and Darlene. So I do want to talk about the fact that, like Donnie said, I prefer to be called a cyber pastor as opposed to an online pastor. And that's because I'm like a ninja, and I get to go into those deep, dark secrets in the world and find people who are lost and broken and need the love of Jesus. And I'm on that mission. It's a ninja mission only because of our lead team. So pastors Eric and Darlene, who I know are watching online, you guys, we are so blessed to have them as our lead pastors. I've been to 49 states and 23 countries. I've traveled all across the globe, and it is hard-pressed to find somebody who loves the way that they love, who bleeds for their city the way they bleed for their city. So can we just give a round of applause for our lead pastors, Pastors Eric and Darlene. Thank you so much for trusting me to speak today. So some of you guys are probably wondering, who is this guy? Like I said, we have an online community that stretches from Uganda to Korea, from California to West Virginia. I know that Pennsylvania is in the house online right now, and we have a special guest today. I know who's online back in Buffalo, New York, where I live right now, right? So my daughter, who was not able to make this trip because I'm going to brag on her. I need you guys to hear this from me, right? I'm going to brag on this girl. So she is a sophomore, and she's the varsity quarterback for the flag football team. And yesterday, they were playing in the Buffalo Bills stadium, and she dropped 4 touchdowns on the reigning region champ. So good job, Jay. We love you so much. Our Ayla girl also could not come today, but we did get to spend this week with our boys here on the Emerald Coast. And so again, my name is AG, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Chelsea, and we have been a part of Shoreline Church, like Pastor Donnie said, for about 10 years. And we moved away in December of 2019, and we moved to Portland, Oregon, where it's beautiful, but it is rainy. So we spent some time inside because of that rain. And then 3 years later, we thought we were going to get back to the white sands of the Emerald Coast, but instead we got stationed in the white snowbanks of Buffalo, New York. So we left here in 2019 as a family of 3. And like I said, there was a lot of rain and a lot of snow. So now we have a family of 6. We have one more than this picture shows, but this is my beautiful family, and we are so honored to be here right now. And so another thing about the cold and about doubling the size of our family is my wife is a better negotiator than me. So we'll just, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. We'll leave it there. But Chelsea and I are actually celebrating our wedding anniversary today. So we've been married for 6 years on this day, 316, and it's 316 because, of course, we're hyper spiritual, and that's what we chose. But no, not actually. It just kind of happened that way. And of course, this is what she wanted to do. She wanted to spend our anniversary listening to her husband talk about expectations for relationships. That's how everybody wants to spend their anniversary, right? So we have our 2 boys with us, and I have a picture of them up here, Kaleo and Coast. And this is funny story about their namesake, is the ties that we have to this region just run so deep in our family. So Kaleo, right? So about 10 years ago, we were sitting over in this section right here, and we came to Shoreline Church together for the first time, and we were friends at the time, mind you. We're just hanging out, going to church together, and it was in the middle of a series that was titled Kaleo, which simply means called by God. And I leaned over to my friend, Chelsea, and I said, one day, I'm going to name my son that. And she laughed and said, I feel bad for your future wife. So I said, joke's on you, baby. And we got our firstborn son named Kaleo. And then Coast is our 7.5-month-old bundle of joy. He's the happiest baby that you've ever seen in your life. And his name is obviously Coast because we met here on the Emerald Coast. And I'm going to get into how we met a little bit later on in this story. So we've all been walking through the past few weeks of this conversation about hopes, dreams, and desires, and how they can sometimes feel like expectations. And I've got a picture of the day that Chelsea and I got engaged. So the day that Chelsea and I got engaged, right here on the stage at Shoreline Church, and I had these hopes, dreams, and expectations of what that would look like, of me just getting down and flawlessly executing this perfect proposal on one knee and being able to open the box. If you were here, you know why that's funny. So I had the box in my front pocket initially, and my wife was sitting there, or my fiance, or my girlfriend at the time, not even fiance yet, was sitting next to me, and I was like, you know what, I gotta move this box because she's gonna see there's something in my pocket. I'm gonna move it to my back pocket. Right? So I moved my back pocket, and I'm sitting down on this chair, and I get up here to do the MC spot, do announcements. I'm like, all right, here it comes. I'm going to drop to one knee. I'm going to ask this woman to marry me and spend the rest of her life with me, and I pull out this box, and I sat on it, so the hinges were not straight anymore. So the reason that Jessica Holzapple is holding that mic is because what was supposed to be this smooth, seamless proposal ended up being this 30-second moment of embarrassment where it did not go any way that I thought that it was going to. All my expectations were just tarnished at that point. But she held the mic for me, and I got it open, and we got engaged, and now we've been married for 6 years. So it's funny how those things can be funny stories, right? But how many of us really feel like sometimes if things would just go my way, then we'd be fine. If that day had gone the way I dreamed and imagined it would be fine. Married folks this morning, maybe you were getting your kids ready and you put them in the wrong outfit, the outfit that your spouse didn't expect. Or maybe, in no particular reason, but I'm going to say that, I don't know, you have a hydro flask that has a screw-on lid and you don't screw it on all the way, so someone goes to pick it up, and instead of picking it up to take it somewhere, they drop 32 ounces of water on their socks and they have to change them this morning. Not a personal experience, just an idea. Maybe that happened. Maybe it's an expectation that was frustrated. Dating people, maybe you think it's cute, and like Donnie said, I love to golf, so maybe I get to golf every single Saturday at 7 o'clock and continue to do that all the way through my marriage. Maybe not. Maybe we get to go to brunch every Saturday, that we've been going through our entire life doing that, and we get married, and maybe that's not how it continues to happen. And single folks in here, you guys might have this checklist of this perfect person that they're going to check all of these boxes, right? They're gonna be this notebook lover, or this prince that's going to come and rescue you, or this princess who's just been waiting for you to come and rescue her. Y'all know what I mean, right? So like one of my favorite rom-coms, yes, I do like rom-coms, do not judge me, but it's The Vow, right? And it's got Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams, so it's for everybody. So in the movie The Vow, they go through and they exchange these specific vows, and I'm going to read these to you. So, I vow to help you love life, to always hold you with tenderness and the patience that love demands, to speak when words are needed and to be silent when they're not, to agree to disagree on red velvet cake, and to live within the warmth of your heart and always call it home. I vow fiercely to love you in all your forms, now and forever. I promise to never forget that this is a once-in-a-lifetime love, and to always know the deepest part of my soul that no matter what challenges might carry us apart, we will always find our way back to each other. Now, how many of you today in this room who are married went back to your marriage vows in that? And you remember exchanging that with your partner. And as you stood across from them down that aisle, you just had all these hopes, dreams, and desires and expectations that turned into expectations of what life would be like with them, of who they were going to be for you. And maybe you're not married. Maybe you're dating or engaged, or you have somebody who you might have your eye on, right? And you have this idea of when they say husband or say wife, and you just hear that as honey coming off of their lips, and you get so excited to think about those days. Or maybe you're just in here single and just hanging around, and you have other relationships that you're excited about. Maybe your friendships, maybe your mentorships, maybe somebody who's at work, maybe your boss or you're an employee. Whatever they are, we all have these hopes, dreams, and desires for our relationships. Last week, Pastor Eric talked about the tug of war between the hopes, dreams, and desires and the expectations. We talked about the gap between the expectations and our reality and what that really looks like, how it's a tug of war sometimes, and we have to figure out what gets filled into that gap. The frustration continues to build, and the big question here is, what if it's not about the key to a thriving relationship is not about holding on tighter, but throwing something? Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. Don't go home and throw stuff at each other. Pastor AG did not say go home and throw stuff at each other. And I know firsthand what it's like to take a pastor's advice and kind of not do it the way it's supposed to be. A little out of context, right? So I got a story for y'all. So when my wife and I were going, my fiance at the time and I were going through premarital counseling. When we were going through premarital counseling, she happened to miss a week, but I still went. And our counselors had been married for about 30 years at the time. And they said, when you're in a disagreement, again, I'm by myself, she's not here, she doesn't know this. When you're in a disagreement, you can sometimes try and lighten the mood a little bit by saying some things, by saying something. You may have heard the story before from a different perspective, but this is my perspective. So you can say something to maybe lighten the mood. And they said, what we like to do sometimes is tell each other, hey, I'm sorry you're such a drama queen. And I'm sorry, the response is a laughter, and I'm sorry you're such an idiot. So to set the scene, I'm going out, it's my birthday, and I'm with my fiance about a month before we're married. I'm with my fiance and some of her friends and some of my friends. We're just hanging out, and we get into a little disagreement. And so I look at her dead in the corridor of her soul, and I say, I'm sorry, you're such a drama queen. So I expected laughter, and that is absolutely not what I got. As a matter of fact, to this day, one of her friends still checks up on her and says, hey, blink twice if you're in trouble. I really do remember early on in my marriage and in different relationships where I had these unspoken lists of how things were supposed to go, how I thought things should be. Maybe you have an unspoken list or a checklist of this is what I expect things to be like. This is how I expect these things to go. I assumed that my wife would know what I'm thinking. I would assume that they knew how to love me. I would assume that they could read my mind. So one thing that I do when I come home, I do this often, I come home and again, you saw the picture, we have 2 under 3-year-olds, right? So I come home and I'm like, hey baby, is there anything I can do for you? And she's like, look around. There's so many things that can be done, right? We got babies and kids running around. We got dogs everywhere. The pets' heads are falling off. Everything is happening. Just pick your poison and help me out. That's what she thinks. She thinks I can read her mind in those situations. But I'm asking, hey, how can I serve you? How can I help you? We know how they should love us, right? We've all, at this point, every one of us, even you online, we've taken the 5 love languages at this point, right? We know what the love languages are. We know that we can love someone the way that they receive love, and you can give some love in the way that that person receives it better. So they should know exactly what we need, right? At every moment of the day. We know how they should apologize first, right? They should apologize because I'm right anyway. You owe me the apology. I don't owe you the apology. The problem is what feels like dreams to us can feel like pressure to them. You want quality time. That's your expectation. The reality is they just need some space. You want deep conversations. They love the silence. You thought they'd be more romantic. They thought that you'd laugh more at their jokes. We start thinking in this way that's like, if they loved me, they would do this. If they loved me, they would do this. The problem with that is, are we really loving them, or are we loving what they can do for us? This is where it comes to a head, because this is when relationships become transactional as opposed to relational. Well, we did it your way last time, so we're going to do it my way this time. We spent Christmas with your family last year, so the next 5 years is my family. It's fair trade, right? You promised me you would do this, so I expect it to be done. Here's an example of some of those things that can happen. So I have a backpack, and imagine that this is your partner's backpack in your relationship, and you have an expectation. And you say, this is the way that we communicate. So you take the expectation and you put it in the bag. This is the way I need to be loved. This is what I need from you. I need you to complete me. Put it in the bag. This is what we did last time, so this time we're doing it my way. I need you to know how to love me better. And we zip that backpack up, and we give it to that person to wear. Really hoping this bag does not break. We'll see. So I'm wearing this backpack now. I'm carrying this weight of these expectations. What if the best thing we can do for relationships is not to carry this weight, but to throw this weight off? In Ephesians, Paul is writing to the church at Ephesus, and he's talking about the example of Jesus. He's talking about what Jesus did, so how we can imitate him. In Ephesians 5, verse 1, it says, imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, because you are his dear children. Live a life filled with love, following the example of Christ. He loved us and gave himself up for us. What Paul is not saying here, what Paul does not say is walk in the way of love by making sure that your spouse meets your needs. What he's not saying here is walk in the way of love by expecting people to read your mind. Also, what he's not saying here is walk in the way of love when you feel like they are walking in the way of love. No, Paul calls us, he says, walk in the way Jesus did. Walk in the way of love the way Jesus did, by giving and not demanding. Love is not about control. Love is about surrender. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody surrender, but when you surrender, you usually have open hands and you're not throwing punches. When you're surrendering, your hands go up and you take a posture of surrender. It becomes a submission competition. Marriage and any healthy relationship should really be a submission competition. And what does that look like? What example can we follow that shows us how to submit? Maybe you're online, you're thinking, what does submit even mean? How can I submit to this person when they've done this to me? How can I submit to them when they didn't follow through and they said they would last time? What does submission look like? Well, in John chapter 13, this is leading up to the night of Jesus' betrayal. This is right after he's having supper with his closest followers, knowing that one of them is not going to meet his expectations. He knows this. He understands this. He knows that expectations are not always going to be met. He says, after he gets done eating, they're all finishing up supper. This is the last night of his life. He knows what's coming. It says, so he got up from the table. He took off his robe and wrapped a towel around his waist. He poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash his disciples' feet, even Judas' feet. He dried them off with a towel that he had around them. That night that Jesus was betrayed, he didn't sit at the table and say, all right, guys, here's what I need you to do. Here's my expectations for you. I need you to do this for me. He said, no, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to show you what it looks like to take a posture of submission. He grabbed a towel and he started washing feet. He took a water basin and went from one person to the next, and he washed their feet. It's one of my favorite stories in the entire Bible. It's one of my favorite wedding traditions. And just so you all know, I hate feet. I am not a foot person. I absolutely hate feet. One thing I love about living in Buffalo is people wear snow boots, not flip-flops, because I don't have to see feet everywhere. Thank God. But it hits home a little different for me because of that, right? So this is a real submission for me to watch someone watch another person's feet. And when you're washing people's feet, you don't scrub intensely, and those tender feet, you don't do that to those feet, right? You gently and you're lowly washing these feet. Have you ever had a pedicure where someone scrubbed too hard and you're like, I don't think I have any flesh left on my feet, right? That's not what we're doing. We're washing each other's feet in a sense of serving that person, doing something for them in a gentle and a lowly posture. He chose to serve, and we can use this example not just by washing feet, but by choosing to fill that gap between the expectations and the reality with love and with servitude, with honor. Great relationships are not built on expectations. They are built on choices. They're built on choices to serve, to love, and to surrender. My dad, Carl Greenhill, my hero, he told me the day I was driving to get married, he said, in your relationships, not just marriage, but all your relationships, your goal should be to be number 2. If we build healthy relationships, they are from a selfless standpoint and not a selfish standpoint. So maybe it's time to throw some of those selfish expectations away. This is for all relationships, not just marriages. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about work relationships. I'm talking about mentorship. I'm talking about parents and children. Maybe you have an expectation of your child that is absolutely unfair. Maybe you're watching online and you have an expectation for your parents that is absolutely unfair to them. Maybe it's the need to always be right. Or maybe it's the expectation that this person will never fail you. We all fail each other. Maybe it's the weight. This backpack's getting heavy, y'all. Maybe it's the weight of trying to change someone else. So what are the 3 practical steps to unrealistic expectations? The first is to trade your demands for gratitude. You take your demands, like I said, when you're surrendering, you surrender your demands in exchange for gratitude, in exchange for something. As simple as saying, instead of why don't you ever, you say thank you for. Pray before you expect. Before you place those expectations on somebody, place them before God. Choose to love first. Instead of waiting for them to change, what if you are the change? And something amazing happens when you start trying to pray for change in someone else. A lot of times, the transformation that God does is not in you. What if it isn't about fixing them, but instead it's about God transforming us? We see the transformation he does in us first because God will always, no matter where you're at today, no matter where you're watching from online, God will always do the work in you before he does the work through you. So, I promised y'all I would talk about how Chelsea and I met, right? So, what if I told you that we met right over there in this building? Not when it was a lobby. It was not a lobby at the time. It looked a lot more like this. We met right over here in a bar, in the most iconic bar on the Emerald Coast, on a night that we don't really remember too well. But we got engaged in this building 4 years later on a morning that we'll never forget. The transformation power, look at what that lobby looks like now. The transformation power of Jesus Christ is for you, is for me, is for everybody. And he is the same Savior who wants to forgive you right now. He's inviting you to do that if you would just let him in. I promise he wants to do a transformation work in you. The very first verse I ever shared from this stage, the very first verse I ever shared from this stage was Philippians 1:6. It says, "And I am certain that God, who began the good work within you, will continue his work until it is finally finished on the day when Christ Jesus returns." He is the God of transformation. He is here to transform your relationships. He is here to transform those expectations, those hopes, dreams, and desires into what he has for you, for your relationships, for yourself, for those around you. He's in the business of transforming lives. Now we're going to revisit that night. We're going to revisit that night of the Last Supper when Jesus was washing feet. And as he's going around and he's washing his disciples' feet one by one, he gets to this one guy who says, "No, Lord, don't wash my feet. I should be washing your feet." And Jesus says, "No, I'm going to wash your feet, dog. Like, it's going to happen." And Peter says, "Then don't just wash my feet, wash all of me. Transform me into who you would have me be." And this guy, this is Peter. This is the same Peter who later on in the night before the rooster crows, he denies Jesus 3 times. So if anybody understands the forgiving power and of not meeting the expectations of Jesus, it's Peter. He understands what it looks like from the gap of that expectation because Jesus told him, "On this rock, on you, Peter, I will build my church." And then the reality is he denied him 3 times the night that he went to the cross. There's a gap there. And what did Jesus fill that gap with? He filled that gap with love. He filled that gap with a breakfast on the beach the 3 days later. Peter says in 1 Peter 5:7, "Give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you." In the Amplified, I love this version, the Amplified right here. In the Amplified, it says, "Casting all your cares, all your anxieties, all your worries, and all your concerns once and for all." That's your expectations. That's your broken promises. That's the things that somebody's not meeting for you. Throw those all on him because he cares about you with the deepest affection and watches over you very carefully. The word here for cast is the Greek word epirapto. Epirapto. And what it really means is to forcefully throw, to cast it onto somebody, to get it off of you and onto somewhere else. And here comes the throwing part I've told you guys about in the beginning. And I'm not talking about throwing hairbrushes or phones or insults at each other after this. Please don't do that. Don't take my advice and do what I do with Pastor Eric's advice. It was Pastor Eric. So, what needs to be thrown away for you? What do you need to epirapto? This bag's getting heavy. All these expectations in here are getting really, really heavy. Maybe for you, it's an expectation of a spouse to always complete you. Take it from your expectation box and put it on Jesus. Maybe It's an expectation. You're here today, maybe for the first time. Maybe you're watching online for the first time. And you're here and you have an expectation on God. You have an expectation of, hey, I'm trying this whole thing out. I'm trying to follow Jesus. I'm trying to do this thing and my life is just getting worse. It's not getting better. I'm hitting rock bottom. Take that expectation of who you think Jesus should be and he'll show you who he is, and take it, throw it on him. Maybe it's an expectation for yourself. Maybe you're here today and you feel like, I'm not good enough. How could this God, this Father, run after me? How is this reckless love for me? Take that expectation for yourself, because he wants you. He's chasing after you. Maybe you're online, he's chasing after you. You've tuned in today and he is chasing after you. He would do it for every single person in this room. He did it for me. He did it for those lost kids who met at Nighttown and transformed them into who we are today. Never in a million years would I imagine I'd be standing on a stage of a church speaking about Jesus in the building that was once the most iconic nightclub in Florida. That expectation you have on yourself, give it to Jesus. Give it to Jesus. Maybe it's an unhealthy pattern for you. Maybe it's the weight that you believe somebody owes you something. Give it to Jesus. What we're going to do today, here in a few minutes, the band's going to come back up and we're going to play another song. And we have expectation boxes all around the room. We have one by the prayer corner, one by the groups corner. We have one in the bar upstairs in the balcony. And maybe you're online. There's white pieces of paper on all of the seats here today. I want you guys to take a pen and write down the expectations that you have, whether it's for you, whether it's for somebody else. No matter who it is, if you're online, find a piece of paper, write it down, and write down the expectation you have for somebody and throw it away. Throw it at the feet of Jesus. Because when we throw our expectations, we have the chance for reckless love to grow.
took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. Yes, you are. For when I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so good to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of
There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Yes, you will. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. The overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Till you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of
Thank you, Pastor AG. That was so good. And I want you to stay standing here just for a moment, because this is a good moment. I don't know, maybe it took 2 services for me to hear something, but I wrote something down on a piece of paper, and I was going to keep it to myself. But when I got to my seat, God's like, well, you're not the only person that wrote that, so maybe this is you. I can't make eye contact. But maybe you're online or you're here in the room, and you're the lie that you've been holding on to, or somehow you picked up in your journey, and it has crept into your heart, and it's been like one of these. And I didn't realize it was one of mine until second service. And so, it's the hard part of being a pastor, is that maybe you thought you had to be perfect to be loved. And if that's you, you're not alone. The good news is there's nothing you could do that make God love you any less. There's nothing you can do that make him love you any more. That's the good news of the gospel. That's the good news of the story. Thank you, Pastor AG, for making that moment. Now, in all things that Pastor Eric, I should come up with something funny to change the tone. But quite honestly, let's stay in this mode. Ben, you could just sort of jam out a little bit. If you need a moment to process, to heal, to process, go visit someone over here in the prayer corner. They may not have all the answers, but they know love. And they'll love you through that moment. And they'll talk with you, and they'll point you to what you need to go. And God has a way of putting hearts together. So have that moment. If you're online, if you need someone to talk to, there's someone online. That's why they're there. That's why Pastor AG is the cyber pastor, sneaking around, kicking the devil in the face. I love it. But if that's you, I don't want you to rush out of this moment when God is doing something healing in your heart, or revealing or freeing you, that you actually now can walk out of here with no more bricks. That's a good Sunday. That's a great Sunday. And so hang out for a little bit. The band's going to chill. The lights are going to be a little subtle. If you need to go pick up your kids, just leave softly for those of us who are just sitting in it. So we're just loving God a little bit longer. God bless. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.